This podcast.
Yo, welcome to this.podcast. I'm your friendly host, Jay, joined by my friends. We got Co.
Man, what we talking about?
And then we got Uncle Damo. But actually, Uncle Damo's out. He's on vacation, like always. But we got a special guest, and we're going to get into that. Shout out to the incredible Lawrence and Larimer for providing a space. You can catch them at lawrenceandlarimer.com, or you can come down to 3225 East Colfax Avenue for the brick and mortar. You can find us on all major streaming platforms. That's Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, you name it. We'll meet you there. And we got video on YouTube. All right, y'all, let's get into the special guest. And the intro music you're listening to is Redman, Pick It Up, from Muddy Waters. Back in the day, that 90s hip hop era, the best era, right?
My shit.
Yeah, man. Come on, let's talk about it. Let me turn Redman down and introduce our guests because we're excited to have them. And I'm gonna do this again. I wasn't sure about our music, but my man was telling me, no, we good. We had to do a second cut, but this time it's gonna be even better. This man we about to introduce is a trailblazer. And stay with me, y'all, okay? He's a trailblazer on many levels, and it's all going to play together. This man came from Summit, New Jersey, out to Denver, Colorado, to Aurora specifically in high school and balled as a trailblazer. He went to NBA and balled as a Portland trailblazer. Mm-hmm. And now he's balling as an analyst for the Indiana Pacers and is gracing us with his presence. Let's give a warm welcome to Eddie Gill. Yes.
There we go.
There we go.
Sound effects in.
We're good. Eddie, thanks for joining the show, man.
Oh, man, it's all love. I appreciate y'all having me, man. I'm watching you from afar. Y'all doing some pretty dope things, having some outstanding guests on, man. It's an honor to be here. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. We're trying to extend this thing, and having people on you like that, like this, is going to help us do that. And we've been watching you too, man. We've been doing our research. I've been listening to all the podcasts you've been on.
Yes.
So we excited to have you on our podcast, and I think you could show us a little bit of how this broadcasting goes, because you do it for real. Like, we playing, but you do it for real, for real. You know what I mean?
Nah, I'm trying to do something, man. It's just maintain and keep me in the game. You know what I'm saying? I'm blessed to have an opportunity to do what I'm doing with the Pacers. It's been a fun. I'm in my 7th year of it now, which is crazy.
Man, round of applause for that, though. For real.
It's wild. It's crazy that that it's came to be. Nothing that I necessarily pursued or anything like that. Being around the Indiana Pacers, doing some things in the community, and ultimately the position came open, and they asked would I be interested in being a part of it, and here we are 7 years later.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, man.
And we love you, even though you with the Pacers. I wish you was with the Nuggets doing the same thing, but you out there doing your thing, man. And keep going. Before we get into the NBA, because we definitely going to talk about that, let's talk about your journey out to Colorado, right? Because you coming from New Jersey, of course, everything that it brings as far as diversity and all culture out there. What was it like for you in high school, leaving friends, all that, to come out to Colorado?
Yeah, I even got in a little bit earlier. I came out in grade school. I was young when I first got here.
Oh, so you okay?
Yeah,
got it.
Young. Yeah, I was young. I came out in elementary school, and man, it just started. My mother was, and my father wasn't kind of seeing eye to eye. He was doing everything the left, and she trying to go right.
Yeah.
And I had an aunt who was living out here at the time, and she picked us up. We jumped on a Greyhound bus. For those old enough to know what that's about, you know what I mean.
How long was that drive? Jesus,
right, 2 days. I almost got lost in Chicago.
Oh,
so
whoa!
My mother
being hard-headed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my mother would love to tell that story. So, but anyway, so we made it out this way and stayed with my aunt for a while till my mother got on her feet, and then every summer I would go back to Jersey though. So I spent every summer in Jersey, and then obviously went to school out here and that kind of thing, and my father did put a basketball in my hands at a young age.
Yeah.
I fell in love with it. I did lose him at an early age, about 11 years old. He passed, and then my mother was trying to work it out on her own, and she did a hell of a job. But yeah, man, I just chased that passion down and fell in love with the game, and to this day still got the same passion. I can't play it the way I once did.
Them knees don't hold up like they used to, man.
Nor do I even attempt to, because I know what's at stake. You know what I mean? So, but no, it's been cool ever since. And like I said, that game it's the gift that keeps on giving. And
What hooked you
in terms of the game itself?
in terms of the game? Yeah.
Man, honestly, it's therapeutic. I love the competition of it, and even actually as a kid, I probably played more football than I did organized basketball. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I played more organized football than I did organized basketball.
That makes sense because you got a nice little build. You kind of stout, you know.
I don't know. I don't know. I got to high school. I chose one sport, and even to this day, I'm like, man, what would have happened if I chose football? But basketball worked out for me. I can't complain the way basketball.
Hey, talk about it. So
yeah.
real quick, because this is going to get into the relationship with you and Damo. Wish he was here.
Yeah.
But he keeps saying, and I think this is true, like for you, you really didn't get notoriety and knowledge that you had game until I would say post high school. Like we all knew you could ball, but we didn't know you could ball like that, right? Because I think you're one of those players that cerebral, of course you're athletic, but very cerebral, plays the game right, point guard, makes great decisions. Tough, like all those accolades that come with it. He tried to claim that y'all got the same kind of path. And what I mean by that is
Underdog,
dark horse. And I'm like, yeah, but not on the same level. He's like, yeah, man, because, I went to the NFL. He played at the NBA. And I'm like, come on, dog. It's not the same because he actually played and you got a call. You got to try out. You know what I mean? Practice player, man. Like, tell us about your path and, how you got to that point of like, and we're going to slow it down, but he tried to say he was on your level. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's talking about.
Yeah,
he's not here to defend himself, so I won't dive into that. Although, you know what I'm saying, he did earn himself, he got a school paid for and everything else. And
Absolutely.
And did a hell of a job there.
Absolutely.
So, only a few people doing that. So
that's a fact.
Much respect for that.
That's a fact. We got to give him shit, though.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
as
man.
you should.
Because he was like, we both play overseas. I'm like NFL Europe and where Eddie was playing at. No, it's not the same thing, man. It's not the same level.
Yeah, no, I would argue the same. But having said that, yeah, honestly, I went the JUCO route, first, and my last game here was in the state tournament against East, lost to JB and them, and we went into the 8. It was my best game as a high school player. And then again, went the JUCO route, and I don't know if anybody's watching like Last Chance U on Netflix and all that.
Yep, I
to see
am.
what JUCO life is about.
Yes.
Like
it's hard, but it's a grind.
Yeah, but when I watch that, it's like, yo, that takes me back. Like
that brings back memories, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I embrace the grind. Like I love it. You know what I mean? I think there's growth in that. So I embraced it and was able to go to Weber State. And professionally, I didn't really obviously as a kid, I loved the game. I was a mid-'90s kid. I had Jordan all over my wall and that kind of thing, and just aspired to do that kind of thing, but didn't really understand, what all goes into it, the work that's associated with it.
Yeah.
And by the time I was probably a sophomore in college, I ended up being a JUCO All-American, and I was like, I got a shot.
Got it.
Like this thing is about to happen.
Yeah.
So then I went on to Weber State. And like year after year and like game after game, I really started believing like this thing is going down. Like,
what is it? So, what is it about Weber State that produces really tough point guards?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. So the guy who was there, Randy Ray, you may be alluding to like Damian Lillard came in after me. Obviously, he's on track to be one of the best guards to ever play in the NBA, let alone collegiately. So there's a guy that he played for, Randy Ray, was actually at Colorado State University when I was coming out of high school, and I went up there for an unofficial visit. So it was crazy for it to all come full circle.
Yeah.
I ended up going back up to Weber State, got inducted in the Hall of Fame, and he was there at Weber State.
Yeah.
And
Awesome,
after
man.
being at Weber State for 20 years, he's the all-time winningest coach there now. But I played for Ron A. Bagelin. Rest in peace. He passed some years ago, but that's why I played for when I was there.
Yeah.
And but ultimately, man, we just go out there and you're fortunate enough to have a coach to kind of believe in you, encourage you, hold you accountable, also let you play your game, and then teach you the fundamentals of the game, and just go out there and do your thing. And that's what I was fortunate enough to have I know Dame was the same while he was there under Randy Ray, and you know his history is really he's still writing his history, but you know big time player in his own right.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know Weber State's history well, you know what I mean, in terms of basketball, but starting with you, you know, like you set the tone of that point guard position, and then like just think you got Dame looking up to, man, I'm trying to fill Eddie Gill's shoes, you know what I mean? And that has to trickle down, you know what I mean? And it seems like Weber State has put out these really nice PGs, man.
Yeah, and it's a mid-major school, so not a lot of people gonna know about Weber State, you know what I mean? And I got to pay respect to the dudes who came before me. There was a guy by the name of Ruben Nemhard, was a point guard.
Yep.
They went up to Michigan State, beat them, was one of the first big upsets. So he was a guy who really got it done. I don't think he spent any time in the league, but still a good player in his own right. There's a lot that goes into getting to the league and staying in the league, and some of it doesn't have anything to do with what's going on the court.
Yep.
But he was a big time player. By the time I got there, I was fortunate enough to have a decent career. We went on to upset North Carolina in the tournament, so that was one of the things that kind of put us on the map my junior year.
Yep.
And yeah, man, everything just kind of grew from there.
Dude, you are so modest, man, because this leads in, and great question, Cole. This leads into 1999.
Yeah.
And you know where I'm going with this, man.
Yeah.
Because to Cole's point, you're part of that history of Weber State, of having those solid point guards, yourself, Dame Dollar, et cetera, right? Your names is like in record books, rafters. Let's talk about one of the biggest upsets ever in college history, right? So when we go to 99, we talking about you, Harold Arsenal, take on the mighty UNC Tar Heels, right? And I don't know if they were ranked 1 or 2.
So,
or were they?
So the seedings in the tournament, we were a 14, they were a 3. They
Got
were
it.
a 3 seed. We were up in Seattle playing at Key Arena. I remember this thing like a
As you should. As you should.
You see me rattling off all these numbers.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The crazy thing about the whole situation, a lot of people don't know, is like I grew up a Tar Heels fan. Like in terms of college basketball,
Oh, a lot of people.
like, that was the squad.
Yeah.
Like that Carolina blue, you could tell me nothing about.
Yep.
Like
Right.
that was it.
Like we was getting the Jordans, all that, like the baby blue Jordans, like
Carolina, Duke, Kentucky.
Yeah. So
Yep.
UNLV.
It was crazy. Like so the day before we're up there, we practice. They get everybody got an hour, 15 minutes, whatever practice before the game.
Right.
The following day, we practice. They're sitting in the tunnel waiting for us to get off the court.
Talking.
Yeah, and like as we walking through the tunnel,
yeah.
they coming onto the court, and like I'm looking at I'm sizing faces up. I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to get a gauge.
Wait.
The game has already started to me.
Absolutely. And call him out, man, because at that time, was it Ed Cota?
Ed Cota was one of the best point guards in the game
Yep.
in throughout the country right now. Brendan Haywood was their big. He played like 15 years in the league.
Montrose, was he?
He wasn't on that team.
He wasn't on that team?
Abina Okalaja, one of the Capel brothers was on that team, I believe.
Yep.
Jeff Lane was another big. They had a squad.
Right.
It's Carolina.
Absolutely.
Name a year they didn't have a squad,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
But ultimately, we walking through, they walking out, and like, again, the game started for me. Like I'm ready to live. Y'all just throw this ball in the air right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
That's how amped I was.
Brick City.
Right. So
Let's go.
But as we walking through the tunnel, they all just like eyeballing us, like, man, y'all don't even need to show up tomorrow. That's what I read on their faces. So
Oh, they was like, nah, we got this. We looking at the next
yeah,
team.
we about to go ahead and steamroll y'all. So, long story short, we go up there. We up 10 really pretty much the whole game. We go in there and upset them. And it's obviously I played 12 years professionally, 7 years in the NBA. That's my greatest one basketball experience, just by virtue of that was the team that I grew up just completely in love with, infatuated with. When we go out there for warm-ups and that Carolina blue came out on the floor and I looked down there to see them, I was like, let's get this popping right now.
Man, it's
No.
short, but so in short, man. What was the game plan?
Well, Harold Arsenal set the record in the first 2 rounds for the most points scored. Like he was an undersized 4-man, and they had all those bigs out there. We knew that they couldn't do anything with him.
Yeah.
Like he was going to get off.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to make it difficult. Brendan Haywood was bigger than everybody in the building. we wanted to make it difficult on him, and make sure we try to slow him down. And I was like trying to stay, like I wanted to prove to myself and the rest of the country that Ed Cota is not the only good point guard in the country.
Right.
So I took a personal challenge there as well. Clearly, it's a collective team effort, team sport, and we had a bunch of guys that you would never know who came in to play big minutes, knocked down big shots for us, especially in the latter part of the game. And yeah, I mean, it was just an unbelievable effort by our entire team. And yeah, man, every once in a while I run the tape.
You run the
back.
tape back?
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
not?
Yeah, hell yeah.
I run it back. I run it back. See what happened again.
Man, if I had that on my resume, I'm running it back every day.
I know you
Kids
saw
is
that to your
watching it.
son.
Yeah, like, yo, look how dad got busy, man.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah. When I tell you something, you better listen, because look at the skills, yo.
Exactly. Yeah, and that thing and this thing called Google popped up, so you can always Google that thing.
Yeah.
Fam.
Yeah, don't play with me.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's love.
Well, let's talk about from that point of you coming on to the national scene, right? Eddie has a name now. It's not only regional. Millions are watching this game, and they see, yo, who are these cats on Weber State, right? Once that started happening and you graduate, tell us about what your mindset was to actually, because the goal, I'm sure, has always to play in the league. Tell us about your journey of how you got to the NBA, like steps, overseas, like all that,
Absolutely.
in order to get there.
Yeah, it was a lot of back and forth, but kind of starting from from post collegiate career on. When I going into the pre-draft process, it was like I had to like play to the next step. At the time, there was 3 pre-draft camps. There was Portsmouth, Phoenix, Chicago's the big one. And that's the combine, like Chicago, like that's like the biggest one. They invite, like all these are invite only, but Chicago is the big one.
Yeah.
But the first one is Portsmouth, and that's more of like a mid-major tweener guys. Like maybe he's all right, but he's not real. You know?
Yeah.
So I had to go there first, right? Go there and make all tournament team, lead the league in assists, steals, and that kind of thing. Then I get invited to Phoenix. Had to go there and like play well again. From there, I get invited to Chicago. So now I'm at the show. Go there, play well again, and end up playing well. So now, coming out of that, the mock drafts are a gift and a curse. First of all,
Yeah.
I'll preface my comment with this:
Yeah.
mock drafts are a gift and a curse. So, I'm at this time, I hadn't paid attention to any of the mock drafts because I knew I had work to do.
Got it.
Prior to that, once I get out of Chicago, I'm like, all right, this is definitely about to happen now. Because I had played against all the big names, all the Big Ten point guards, SEC point guards, ACC point guards, and more than held my own. So after that, I'm looking at all right. The mock drafts are saying middle of the first round, the middle of the second round. I fall completely out of the draft. Don't get drafted. During the show, they're like, man, I can't believe Eddie Gill hadn't got drafted yet. Blah blah blah. Some of the Rick Majerus, rest in peace.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Big time University of Utah coach back in the day.
Yep.
He was the one, and then so ultimately I don't get drafted. I cry like a baby that night, and the next day I'm like, well, this is still happening. So as I got into my journey, right, I just ultimately was to have to play into each opportunity, right, go in and prove myself, whether it was getting invited to a training camp, trying to make a team, getting cut, maybe going to the G League. It was the D League at the time. Going there, getting called up. I got a 2-year deal with the Pacers in the middle of my career. You referenced the Portland Trail Blazers. I was there. I had gotten called up after playing in the CBA for a minute. Went overseas, come back in the league. So I was always in a place of I'm proving it. I'm going to prove it. I'm going to prove it, and then able to carve out 12 years professionally and 7 years in the league. And it wasn't ideal. It wasn't the way
That's awesome.
I would have written it up, but
podcast.
here we are.
But let me ask. So let me ask you. So, draft happens, but you're being told, via these mock drafts. I'm pretty sure your agent is telling you, like, dude, but you're going to get drafted, right? But you don't get drafted,
Right.
Like, at 2021 at the time.
Yeah, 21. Yep.
Okay, at 21 now. How are you squaring this? You know what I mean? Are you having feelings of shit, like what's next, or were you confident to say, well, you know, I have other opportunities to ultimately bring me back to the league.
Yeah.
NBA, rather.
Yeah, I think ultimately, like, definitely frustration, disappointment, and upset about things didn't pan out the way they were quote unquote supposed to, right?
Yeah.
Or the way it seemed like it was outlined, and it didn't pan out for me. So I would just, in that moment, be frustrated, right? I'm thankful for my agent. I felt like he was always honest with me. You know, sometimes I thought I was going to have a job, but didn't get a job. I didn't necessarily blame him for it. I always wanted, hey, just be honest with me about, you know, what the conversations are and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I felt like he was always that. So I kept him for my entire 12-year career. And to this day, we're still friends and cool and everything.
Awesome.
But it was just a situation where I just had to get to the next opportunity, right? I'm like, that's a no. Like, I'm cool. Like, these no's is great, but there's some yeses out there, and I'm gonna chase those down, and ultimately, I'm gonna find enough of them to where, you know, I'm gonna be happy with what I've been able to do. And yeah, incredibly adverse moments. I think losing my father at an early age kind of prepared me for adverse moments. It's like that's the worst thing that could happen to me.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the fact that y'all telling me that I didn't make this team or you cutting me, yeah, I'm upset about it. But
I've been through worse.
yeah, there's been worse out there that happened.
But that takes a special type of person, though, man. Because a lot of people just break down. Man, one door is closed, and they can't take it. You know what I mean? So shout out to you and your resilience, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That's and it's something that I try to carry with me. The game of basketball has taught me unbelievable life lessons, like, you know, how to compete, how to win, how to lose, how to get through adverse moments, how to adjust, how to get along with different personalities, you know, in a team atmosphere. We got to get all on the same page and try to accomplish a goal. And, I'm forever grateful to the game. I put a ton into it, and it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
That's so dope, man.
Bussin'.
Because everything you just named, I won't piggyback on that. But so at some point, you're going through the G League, you're bouncing around a little bit, you're getting call-ups. And while all this is happening, like, when you get those opportunities, you're a dude that performs, right? Like, that's something to be said. Like, okay, Eddie's like, yo, if I got this shot, I'm going to make the best of this shot. Yeah. When you was in the G League, D League at the time, like, you were winning championships with those teams, right? And there's something to be said about that. You get a call-up, and I think the first call-up was it with Toronto or Portland?
My very first one, oddly enough, was with the Nets.
It was with the Nets. Okay, got it.
My very first. So I signed a partial guarantee with Orlando Magic when I very first to start my rookie year.
Got it.
I get up to the day before the regular season starts. If I make opening day roster, my contract is fully guaranteed. They cut me the day before the season started.
Ooh.
Got it.
So I went the minor league route at that time, but then they ended up getting called up by the New Jersey Nets at the time, obviously in Brooklyn now. And then I ended up playing the rest of the season with New Jersey Nets, which is crazy, obviously, like, where I'm originally from. All my family was there, so it was like, all right, there's
and then you start getting them checks.
So
like,
it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely, man.
It's a beautiful thing. So that was actually like my first real NBA experience in terms of like regular season meaningful minutes.
Got it. So let's fast forward a little bit. So now, because I think when you were stable in the league, you were with Portland a season, and then it came to the Indiana Pacers. Right. So stability there, you're like, I've arrived. Like, you can breathe a little bit. You're one of the guys. You're part of this brotherhood. Then I don't know the year, but we get to the Malice in the Palace.
That's my first year with the Pacers.
Your first year?
Yeah, my very first year. So it's like it's 04-05 season.
Got it. So I'm going to run this. Like, you're on the bench. You're out there with...
I'm in the game.
Oh, you're in the game when that happened?
I'm in the game when it happened, yeah.
Okay, so the team at that time was Metta World Peace, Steven Jack. You're on there, Jermaine O'Neal, Reggie Miller. I want to say the Junkyard. Isn't that what they called them? Davises. One of the Davis brothers?
Nah, they was before me.
They were before? Okay.
Yeah, they was before me. They was in early 2000, like late 99, late 90s.
Okay, so hard foul happens.
Right.
Ron Artest, Ben Wallace. Ben Wallace gets upset, starts shoving Metta, Ron Artest at the time. Then, tempers are flaring. We're jostling, blah, blah. We calm things down, right? Your boy Artest is on the scorer's table like he's about to go through a therapy session. That cup flips in the air, hits Artest. Once that happens and Artest goes in the stands, from your point of view, how did it go down? And what were your thoughts as that was all taking place?
Yeah, so like you said, it was a hard foul. I was right under the basket when it happened, and then they kind of get nose to nose for a minute, a couple little push and shoving, that kind of thing. Typical NBA, we're going to act like we got some beef here for a second. And
right, we act like we're going to fight, but we're not really going to fight.
That's just stupid. Nobody really trying to fight.
Right.
So it really typically doesn't happen, and ultimately didn't happen there either. But you referenced, he go on the table. So I'm waiting for the officials to kind of sort it out. We'll call technical fouls on whoever they are. It's towards the end of the game. I'm figuring it's going to be over with here soon. That happens. He goes in the stands, and at that time, it's just like one of those situations you don't know how you're going to react until you're in the moment.
Yeah.
And you ultimately just go into survival mode, right? It's like we all it's like
it's us.
It's our team.
It's us.
And at that time, I'm like, man, we got to get out of here.
Right.
Yeah.
But ultimately, he goes in the stands. Jack goes in the stands. I jump over scores table. I'm in the stands, and I'm just trying to get them out of there. Right?
Got it.
I go grab
Peacemaker.
Jack.
I'm trying to get my teammates.
I'm trying to go grab Jack, get him out of the stands, and then it's just complete chaos. It's complete chaos, and you don't really understand the magnitude of it. Well, you understand of it during the moment, but as things transpire, the days after, it's just like you can't believe that just happened.
What was the conversations like in the locker room right after? Was everybody just in dazed, stunned disbelief, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, well, immediately after, we almost fighting each other.
Why you grab me? Yeah. I was about to whoop his ass. I was about to knock his ass. Man, yo, I'm trying to stop you from getting fined $100,000.
I'm trying to save you a couple bucks.
Yeah, I'm trying to save you a couple dollars.
Will you tell us who was wilding out the most in the locker room at that point? Like, who was like, oh man.
Oh, Jack for sure, I bet.
Nah, he had cooled out actually by the time we got in there, and that part only lasted like a couple minutes.
Real quick. Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty quick, and then
he ain't gonna give us the real tea. Nah,
that's what it was. Yeah, it wasn't like it wasn't no blows was thrown. Nothing,
got it.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Nothing like that. But ultimately, then after that settles, you know what I mean, and then kind of the adrenaline wears off. Yeah, you're sitting there like in a daze, like that's crazy. That just happened.
Yeah.
And man, and then we just trying to get out of there safe and sound. Then we come back home. It happened to be a back to back.
We gonna get into that.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah.
What were we gonna say, Cole?
Yeah, go ahead.
But at what point was the real not having played, professionally.
Gotta keep talking.
However, playing in college, I know how it's like after a loss, especially in a away game.
Yeah.
Y'all in the locker room, y'all dazed and confused. Coach comes in. I'm pretty sure he don't know what to say. Now y'all on the bus back to the plane. Is it dead silence on that bus?
Nah, it was. Just the disbelief. Really, that was like the biggest conversations. Like we just can't believe. I can't remember word for word verbatim what we was talking about, but ultimately, yeah, the disbelief was the craziest thing of it all. Like that's what really just set in, is that the fact that we just was in the stands, fans running out onto the court.
Yeah,
like it's just wild how all that transpired.
Was you counting your pockets like, okay, I was in the stands.
Yeah,
how much are they gonna find me?
I got my money was not at all like some of them other dudes.
And that's what I'm saying. So
it's all relative. So that was like one of the first things I did. I got on the bus. I called my agent. I was like, yo,
I know that's right. Yeah.
How much is gonna cost me?
I clearly was a peacemaker. Now I know going into the stands,
like I'm not doing
Eddie,
that shit
start
no
copping,
more.
please, quick. Like Commissioner,
start writing letters. Wait, look at the tape. Look at the tape. I didn't throw one punch.
Right. Yeah,
I'm grabbing my teammates.
Bro, that's exactly what I told my agent. I was like, yo, you can see the tape. Yo.
Yeah.
You see, I'm in there trying to break this thing up. My money is not like that, like these other dudes.
Yo, I'm with you, Eddie. I'd have been like, yeah, Jermaine, you making this? I'm making this. Oh yeah, I wasn't. You didn't see not one punch thrown.
Damn.
I was trying to grab people up out of there. Y'all ain't about to end me.
Yeah, them
that's the
top
crazy
tier,
thing.
they might have to pay for a couple games for the other fellas, you know?
And that's the crazy thing in that environment. You don't know what's going to happen once you get up there. So like I'm trying to get guys out of the stands, but I'm also aware of my surroundings.
Yeah,
To where if they come to it, I got to defend myself.
you got to swing on somebody.
Oh, absolutely.
Not just here we are. Fortunately, it didn't come to that, and I was able to get a couple guys out of the stands or whatever, and then we try to get to the locker room or whatever. But yeah, that was like first I got on the bus like, yo, you can see I was a peacemaker.
Yeah,
Am I going to get fined? And he's like, no, I think we're gonna be good. But
man.
so it ended up
But in
working
sport, so when you say survival mode, man, sports get so primal. I don't care, like any team sport where you have to travel to another team stadium, it's a primal feeling. It's that you really feel like the 300.
out. Right.
Oh, yeah, it's
This is
us
Sparta.
against all of them.
Yeah, like you go into these opposing teams' stadiums and it's just y'all.
And I could, at y'all's level, at the top
dog.
level. But I mean, even, because you got to think, man, I agree with you. Like
We would
when
play
you
U
were
of A. When I was at Arizona State, we would
ASU,
play, especially U of A. Like, because, it was a Pac-10 back in them times. Like, like it wasn't crazy going to USC. It wasn't crazy going to UCLA. Like, it was
But the
tough in
rival.
Oregon. It was tough in Washington. But then U of A was our rival. So when we went to U of A, dog, it ain't nothing but blue and red.
And they be
And it's
drinking.
y'all.
And it's y'all.
And you're already dealing with that on the competitive level playing the sport, right? Then to actually physically be in a fight with the fans at this
I
point.
bet.
So even you being a peacemaker and then being able to have enough wherewithal to not just straight go primal and just fucking start knocking everybody out, because that's how you feel.
No,
To
absolutely.
be like, dude, I'm trying to keep my man safe. Then I also have to make sure I'm aware enough to not get hit in the head with something and then get us all out of here. That takes skill, man.
Yeah, man.
And the wherewithal, that's the cerebral that tapped in, I bet. Like,
Yeah.
yo, I know I'm here to defend my
But the PG,
teammates.
the PG got to be under control. You see the PGs was under control.
I gotta
in there.
manage this
Yeah.
situation.
Was Travis Best on that? Was Travis Best on that squad?
Nah, he was before me too.
Yeah. So, but
He was before me, too.
all the PGs made sure I ain't getting fined.
Good call.
I'm gonna get us all out of here.
Those are the ones that are part of the, they lead the Players Association.
Yeah.
Like the PGs,
The PGs. And shit. Yeah.
Right. Now in the moment, like the priority number one is like our team, right?
Exactly.
Right.
That priority number one is like, man, we gotta just make sure we all good,
Right.
and then after the fact, it's like, hey, let's make sure this bread is intact.
So then you were getting into the back-to-back. And this is
that's right.
This is the moment. This is another one of those Eddie Gill moments where capitalize on opportunity and shine, right? Because I know 3 got suspended. How many people got suspended?
Shoot, I can't remember how many got suspended, but the crazy thing, we already had like 4 or 5 guys who were hurt. So that night,
Reggie was hurt.
we had like 4 or 5 guys that were in suits,
Right.
that weren't able to play due to injury. So then that happens, and then we get X amount suspended. I'm not sure exactly what it was. Ultimately, we're down to 6 players available to play.
Oh.
Talk about it.
We literally had 6 players available to play the next night. Orlando Magic came into town. Steve Francis was the point guard. In that team at the
Absolutely.
time.
That's when Steve was a terror.
Oh yeah.
He was Stevie franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the deal. So they came into Indiana to play against us that next night. But yeah, like I said, we had 6 guys. I ended up playing all 48. We had another guy play all 48. And other than that, the other 3 guys were kind of like in a rotation in terms of, going to the bench or whatever, getting back in the game.
You had 6.
Yeah, we had 6
yo.
guys. We almost won. We pretty much just ran out of gas in the 4th quarter. We ended up losing a close game, but it was certain things that you just don't forget in your lifetime.
Do you recall that stat line for you? Because I think you had double-digit assist.
Yeah,
Of course, you had double-digit points, but I think you
I don't
was
remember
going to
exactly.
work, man, against Stevie.
Yeah, it was a good game, but obviously, we didn't come away with the result we wanted, and from that point on, that rest of that season was a journey.
Look, man,
How
he
good
still
would that
got the
game
right
have been if
answers
you-
to this day. He still got the right answers.
Listen, how good would that game have been if they told you was missing 20?
If what?
If they told you was sitting down 20 because of that the incident the night before. if he called your AJ and said, "Hey man, looking good, man. You it's about 15 games."
He would crush me. Appeal. I got to appeal this ASAP.
Hey, so let me ask you, man. Who's your favorite coach?
Probably Mo Cheeks.
Let's talk about it.
Wow.
Yeah. He was. I had him in Portland, and he was a guy. It's probably him and Scott Skiles. Like I like Scott too. He was when I was in Milwaukee, but and then Rick between the three, Rick was good, and the Pacers like smart as they come.
Yeah.
But Cheeks was just in terms of like his relationship with his players. Gave you the latitude to play your game, but also held you responsible. He had expectation, just come out, play your game, play hard, try to execute. Don't make dumb mistakes, especially repeatedly. But I really love just like the camaraderie, the fellowship that he kind of just provided throughout the entire team. And we had a mix of young guys and a veteran group, but Cheeks was one, and also he's a point guard, right? So
Yeah. Yep.
he was one that I learned from. I always talk to him about just playing the point guard position in the NBA. That was my third year in the NBA. I played for the Nets, the Grizzlies, and then him in Portland. So I just really gravitated to him because obviously he played the point. He was one of the best to do it. He'd lock up, pick up full court, dog the.
Cheeks was that dude.
Yeah,
Cheeks was that dude.
I looked up some film on him and how he kind of did his thing, but that's probably the biggest reason why I gravitated towards him.
Yeah.
That's crazy, yeah, because it seems like point guards naturally become the best. It's like point guards and analysts for some reason, like somebody that, I don't know, just really a bookworm in the game of basketball, but it seems like those make out for the best coaches for the most part.
And I also think, being able to have played there's some value in have played the game for X amount of time, even if it's not necessarily. You don't have to play in the NBA to be a good coach. Even the guys who played collegiately and didn't necessarily play in the NBA, or maybe a short stint in the NBA or internationally or whatever. I think there's some value in having that playing experience too.
Because it's relatable, right?
Yeah, and again, I think for me, I think it's awesome that you was a point guard, right? What do you look like? What are attributes of a good leader?
That's a great question. Yeah, first and foremost, you got to do it by what you're showing. Like I couldn't stand guys who just the whole time talking about what should happen, we should be doing, they should be doing, you should be doing, and then when they get out on the floor, they're not even coming close to doing any of that.
Yeah,
right.
Like, bro, you need to stop.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So first and foremost, I need to see what you're doing out there on the floor as a leader. Are you going out there? Are you communicating at a high level? Are you defending? Are you running the show offensively? Are you getting to your spots? Do you get to practice early and put in extra work? Are you putting in extra work afterwards? Are you, checking on your teammates? Are you holding yourself to a higher standard? Are you doing all those things? And then, okay, now I'm all about whatever you got to say.
Yep.
If you want to jump on me because I was dogging it, or that's not happening. Or if I didn't execute whatever it may be, or wasn't on time, or whatever the case may be, that message is far better received if I see you doing it first than you doing it half the time and you steady, talking all the time. I just can't get down with that.
Yeah.
That's dope, man. I think every time we have, not that we have a ton of athletes, but when we do have athletes on the show and they express those attributes, like that carries over to anything.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? Like the hard work, accountability, responsibility, high level of communications, like that applies to everything out there. You know what I mean?
I don't care what industry it has.
It doesn't matter.
It's irrelevant. And then as it pertains to the game, that's got nothing to do how fast I am. That don't got nothing to do how high I jump.
Not at all.
Got nothing to do how tall I am.
Nope.
Nothing.
Nope.
I'm accountable.
Yeah, give me these intangibles first, and then the tangible attributes are going to go to a whole nother level.
Okay.
Absolutely. So real quick, before you ask that question,
No, you got
we're going to switch it up a little bit, and we're going to do the game This or That.
Okay.
So if you've been watching, we just started to integrate this. So we're going to play This or That. The rules of the game is no context. You might have like three choices in there, but once you give the choice, don't give no examples or why you did it. We just want to hear it straight up. We're going with that, and that's it. All right. So welcome to This or That, and you can pass. All right. If it gets too tough and you're like, I pass.
Yeah,
all right.
Okay.
But we only give you one pass. We ain't gonna let you pass.
It ain't no taking shots or nothing like that. It's literally just perspective.
Don't be tensing up, man. You right.
It's literally just perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all good.
So this might KD or Steph.
KD.
On ball defense or off ball defense?
On ball.
Pick and roll or ISO play?
Pick and roll.
Luka or Jason Tatum?
Jason Tatum.
He coming out with them. Bengals or Bills?
Yeah, that's tough. Bills.
All right. Cowboys or 49ers?
49ers.
Harold Arsenal or Damian Lillard?
Damian Lillard.
Okay. Reggie Miller or Paul George?
Reggie Miller.
Yeah.
Got it.
I would love to provide some context, but keep going.
The Nuggets or the Pacers? There you go. You got any code?
No, that was great, man.
Hey, at the time of this recording, the Nuggets are about to play the Pacers tomorrow. So
The Nuggets are heavily favored.
They are heavily favored.
Oh man. So I think what I wanted to get into was, so we did favorite coach, teammate. So favorite teammate.
Favorite teammate, man.
'Cause you've played with a lot of players.
Yeah, a bunch. Man, favorite teammate. I'm gonna go with family. Brevin Knight. So that's my cousin from Jersey. We played together.
Brevin Knight's your cousin?
Yes, sir.
This podcast.
Yeah.
PG.
Wow.
So PGs unite.
Man, they family full of PGs.
I mean, I'm telling you,
The crazy
family.
thing is, he was one of the reasons why I ended up getting signed by the Grizzlies. I was again in the minor league, and him and Jason Williams both were hurt at the same time for the Grizzlies. And then they ended up calling me up, and that was the first time I played all 48 minutes in a game. Literally, it was crazy how that whole thing happened. I get called up one practice, and I'm playing with the second unit in practice, which, okay, that's what I'm expecting to do because I just got called up.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
We going over the game plan literally right before the game in the locker room, and Jeff McGinnis was the point guard for the LA Clippers at the time.
remember that? Remember him?
And the Carolina guy.
Yeah.
Yep, he could go.
And so we going through. I can remember like bending down, like lacing my shoes as he going over the starting lineups, and he's like, "All right, Gill, you gonna start on McGinnis?" And I was like, "Huh?" Like literally, that's how that played out. I ended up playing all 48 minutes of the game. It was crazy.
Man, but
Dang.
but
That's going to be like your tag, man. You need 48
Mr. 48.
Mr. 48, get Eddie up on the phone. Call him up.
Nah, but yo, again, man, and this is flowers, man. It seems like, it feels like the story of your life was, I'm taking advantage of every opportunity I get. Yeah. You know how hard that is? Like to stay ready.
This podcast.
To stay ready. Because you're in a position, like I look at these guys that be on these 10-day contracts, right? Or these guys that just, barely hang. It's like, yo, the one opportunity that you get, you got to take it.
Yo, what did M say? Lose yourself.
Oh,
You got to lose yourself, man. Talk to him.
Yo,
man.
the pressure in that. The pressure in that, it's almost like going to a camp, right? Like an AAU camp or some Nike Invitational camp or whatever, right? But you have the 5-star All-American kid that's going to get that's going to get
everything handed to him.
everything
right?
handed to him. He's going to get all the reps. He's going to get all the looks. All the coaches looking at him. But then you got that one player that you can play, but you got to know, dog, if they throw me in this one run that may be 3 minutes,
I'm
This
gonna
gotta
make
be the best.
Yeah, Cole, the best. Cole, come on. Yeah, let me hit your drop.
But that's been you.
Man, what we talking
real.
about?
Nah,
That's been you.
Nah, and the thing I always approached it was, I'm gonna go in here and attack this moment like I'm not gonna get another one, and they won't not consider me because I'm not going hard, I'm not communicating, I'm not doing some of those intangible things. Right? I may go out here and go 0 for 10 shooting the basketball.
But the things that you can control, it's not gonna be that.
it won't be that. Yeah, it won't be because and I like, for example, going into training camp. There's no way that I'm going to show up to training camp out of shape. Like, it used to blow my mind how some guys will show up, and again, these are guys who got longer term contracts.
Yeah.
Sometimes they show. Now it's few and far between. I think most guys, take it their craft seriously, and they come in and work hard, and they come in prepared and they're ready. But it's levels to that, right?
Absolutely.
There's definitely levels to that. But some guys would come in out of shape, and next thing you know, they hurt, or it's because the body can't take the tax that is you're going to put it through. But that was my approach to those type of moments. It was just like, this won't be the reason why you cut me or not give me another opportunity, or you won't go to my agent and say, man, this guy showed up out of shape, or he's not coming.
Right.
He's coming in late to practice, or he's like, no, we're not.
No, that's dope, man. And I think that's why the 1999 upset is kind of. Before that, you were doing that, no doubt.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because I think through high school, you weren't giving your just due. I think and at that level, it's like very political. And you just built your way up and stuck with it of just owning the things you can control, right? I'm always show up on time. I'm always going to be in shape. I'm always going to work on my game. Like, those are the things I can control.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whatever the coaches see, that's kind of out of my hands. But if I've set myself up to be in the best, to take advantage of those opportunities, like what more can you do?
Yep.
Absolutely. That was definitely. And then, like, as far as high school, I don't think, I felt like I got respect as a good high school player here, but not until that last game against East. We ended up losing the game, but I had 37 in that game.
Yeah.
And then that's after, that's the last high school game. But after I was gone, I started hearing more whispers of like, oh, I didn't know he had that.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
exactly.
I didn't know he was
Yeah.
that. But ultimately, man, that's the way I've always approached it. At a young age, and
This podcast.
and to your point earlier, man, it's regardless of industry.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I know that you embody that because, you was 15 minutes early here.
Oh, yeah. And professional. It showed up,
Like
I felt like we were unprofessional because we didn't have things
together.
ready.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. So that's how I know it's not just rhetoric.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like you were here literally 15 minutes early.
Right. Yeah.
As
absolutely.
you walked in the door as we're going through setup, man. So that's like, dude, based off of your high school career, based off of your college career, then based off of your career as a professional, and then now as a media, I won't say personality. Is that what you?
Well, broadcasting.
Yeah, in broadcasting, dog. I can tell that your approach to all of this, man, has been consistent.
Yeah, he might
know what I
take, man, you might take Damo's spot. Because
man,
he already, he knows how to play the camera. He knows how to talk. I don't think he said once. Like, everything you're doing is professional. So let's talk about that, because we were talking off mic that now that you're in broadcasting and an analyst for Indiana Pacers, you said you want to stay close to the game because you love it so much. Tell us your journey into becoming an analyst.
Yeah, so I always tell people that that's it's kind of like my side gig. Like, and my real job is I'm in financial planning. I've been doing that for about 8.5 years now.
Awesome.
With a company called Wise Financial.
We're gonna get into that too. Yeah,
So that's
absolutely.
like my real gig. At the time, I had been doing a variety of different community engagement events with the Pacers. I've done that ever since I had stopped playing. In 2012, that's when I retired. But I was always like, Indianapolis is my home base, and they do a really good job of keeping alumni engaged and being able to come to different community involvement and different events in that capacity. This position opened up, and literally the VP of broadcasting called me up. He said, "Hey, this job just opened. This position just opened up. Do you have any interest?" And gave it some thought, and I said, well, yeah, hey, I have some interest, but two things. My kids are at an age right now where they're incredibly active. So if they have a game on the same night the Pacers have a game, I'm going to their game because I missed enough from traveling.
That's dope.
This
And the other piece is I have a real
podcast.
job, so it can't interfere with that.
Yeah.
And ultimately, they were like, yeah, well, if you can do just, I can't remember what the number was, a certain number of games, at least if you can at least give us that, then definitely, if your kids have games on the night where Pacers have a game, then I'm like, okay, well, cool.
Sign me up.
Let's do it because I was in a position where I thought like, hey, I could still be playing really if I wanted to be playing. Now, albeit maybe I'm overseas somewhere playing, but I could still be playing.
Yeah.
But I decided, hey, I wasn't missing anymore. My son was at an age where I wanted to be with him round the clock, and my daughter was 2 years behind him. So they were like, okay, great. So it just kind of worked out, and then like I said, here we are 7 years later. It was crazy how it all transpired. I had zero experience with it, so I was honestly, they just completely blessed me with this opportunity, and I tried to go in there and same thing, attack it the best way I could. But they called me down to the studio. We did like a 10-minute mock up highlight session with our host of the show. They were like, all right, good enough. We got an hour-long pregame show coming up next week.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Man,
And he was like, I'm ready.
I'm gonna seize the moment.
You talk about a guy building a plane while you fly it.
But-
Like that was exactly what I was doing.
Hey man, but that's what you've been like but I'm not saying building a plane as you fly it because you a hooper. That's what you do, but you seize the moment.
Yeah.
Absolutely, coach.
But those same principles still apply.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's how the start into where we are now happened.
So with that, I think because I was going to ask you, because I wasn't aware of the financial planning business that you have.
Yeah.
But this is great because we all have had conversations and seen 30 for 30s of how athletes make all this money and then they blow it, right? They don't know how to save. They don't know how to invest for the future because, unfortunately, the career for a lot of athletes is short-lived, right? Any athletic profession. Tell us about your journey about how you were handling your financials. Did you always have that education of like, okay, since I've went this route, when I get that money, you know what I'm saying? I'm holding on to it. I'm not going to go get the Phantom, or I'm not going to get, jewelry or whatever you're into. Like, no, I'm going to settle, save 80%, whatever it is. And then, when I'm in a spot where I can go get the crib, I'll go do that. Tell us about like your financials and how you were handling it while you were going through those big ass checks you was getting.
No, I wish. I mean, they was okay, but
Relatively.
word.
Yeah,
Word.
relative.
Yeah, it's all
They
right.
might not have been big if you was like Artest. Like
Why
if you
do we
looked
do a
at your
backflip
check,
for the
you'd be like,
chicks?
"Yo, what is that?" But yeah, us, we come on, man.
I feel you. Yeah,
You know?
there's no question. Yeah, like you said, it's
Making money like a CEO
Yeah,
at a
levels,
tech company.
levels, all this.
There's
Yeah.
levels.
But yeah, no. But the in short, no, I didn't have that education, didn't have that background. The only time we talked about money in my house growing up was that we didn't have any.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
My mother was trying to just make it happen for me and my little brother. So we weren't talking about financial planning. You know what I'm saying? So I was fortunate enough, again, chase that passion down and was able to carve out a professional career. Once I got to the league and played professionally, yeah, I was decent with my money, but I definitely could have done better. I wasn't going to get Lambos and all that kind of nonsense. That I wasn't doing any of that.
Right.
But definitely there were times where I was probably more frivolous than I should have been, on different things. And
Chain.
Yeah, but
You got a
ultimately,
piece and chain.
Chain, man. Got a piece of chain, man.
I never got into.
never been
chains,
into that?
earrings.
Rolly?
No, none of that. Yeah.
None of that. Okay.
I did get one Breitling. It got stolen, and I never bought another one. But no. So I never really got into that. Other frivolous things that I probably could have passed on.
Got it.
But nothing like that nonsense.
Bottle service.
Yeah, none of that. Definitely not that. No, negative. That was not part of me. Nah.
You didn't have like
I'm scared to ask him what he
you
be
didn't go get
spending
the
his bread
homies.
on.
So
Yeah.
you didn't get the homies, man, and y'all just bottle
it up.
service. Just
Nah,
gotta you stand on.
I might put in on like
Bottles on me if I'm drinking it,
if
but
it's like 5 or 6 of us going in on this. You know what I'm saying?
Like, nah, y'all, we still splitting this. I know I'm in the league, but nah, we still splitting this 6 ways, yo.
Yeah, I wasn't opposed.
I ain't paying for no steak dinners.
I might get a round or two. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
But so my money wasn't like that, nor was I doing that. But but ultimately, man, as I was playing, I had my own successes and failures financially. Watched teammates have the same. And in the back of my mind, like, man, how can I be a resource for that? How can we make it a better way? And, we can really diminish some of these negative stories, amplify some of the good stories, because there are a bunch of guys out there who was doing it the right way. And I think credit to the new school. I think they're doing a better job also of taking care of themselves, at least from the outside looking in. And in our group, we do work with some professional athletes and stuff like that. So guys are doing a better job of being responsible and taking care of themselves. But, still some of the other stuff out there, just lack of life experience and trying to, jump into the I used to say by the time I was the vet in the locker room, some of the young guys that come in, it'd be, a 9-10-year vet. They looking at how he's living, and they trying to do that right out the gate. I'm like, nah, that's not,
you can't.
That's
do
not
that.
the move. That's not the move. You need to get to that second and third contract and see how that works out. But ultimately, that was something I had in the back of my mind. Short story is, when I first retired, I started a basketball skill development business. Within that business, there was a guy who was in the financial services industry who had his son in my program. I peppered him with 1 million questions, and ultimately I decided to pursue it. In my mid-30s, I sat for my Series 7, Series 66 life and health license.
Oh, man.
Listen to spit them out. Yeah, for real.
Which is completely crazy. I hadn't studied for anything in like 15 years since, when I was in college, and was able to get through that. Started out for the company called Wells Fargo Advisors. I was there for 4.5 years before being recruited to join Mark Wise and his firm. He's the president and CEO of our company now, Wise Financial and Northwestern Mutual. And
nice.
Here I am 8.5 years later.
Man, round of applause, man.
Man, can you give us some free game, man? What's the best way to pass down wealth, man, for the average person?
Budget, save. Like it's now granted, again, there's levels to that, but definitely, we could dive into the weeds, at another time. But definitely being able to, don't go above your means. Oftentimes regardless of the money that guys make, I watch guys making $7, $8 million, $9 million a year living check to check, and that's just mind blowing.
That's nuts, yo.
That's just mind blowing. So it's definitely levels to it, and it doesn't necessarily mean you don't have to make millions of dollars to be able to take care of yourself and take care of the younger ones that come from behind you. In terms of being able to save, do I have life insurance? Do I like some of these fundamental things that oftentimes we boxed out of some of these conversations,
right?
And we've been led down some other rabbit hole of lifestyle that we think we should be living, and that's just not the move. You know what I mean? We need to be running a different play, and there's a lot of different resources and things that we have access to, and we just don't know. Like stuff that I didn't learn about till I was, well on my path, late 20s, 30s, and even I'm 44 now. Stuff that I've been literally learning about here in the last couple of years.
So for our audience and listeners, for those starting out just wanting to step in the right direction, give them 3 things that you think is just a good place to start. Like, once I get my check, do what?
First of all, you're your most important asset. So how are you protected? If something happened to you, what's happening? What's going on with the people that depend on you, right? So life insurance is like my son's 22, my daughter's 20. They both got life insurance. Like, they've had it for a couple of years already. That's super important. The other piece is identify different ways. First of all, how do you want to live when you're in what's called your distribution phase in retirement, right? Oftentimes people think that I'm just going to wake up, I'm going to work, and then one day I'm going to just retire.
Right.
And next thing you know, you're 70 years old, and you're like,
I can't retire.
I can't retire. I haven't done any saving at all. So I think that's one of the biggest things. Like, I'll give you a great example. Like, when I went for the Pacers, we started looking at different houses, established a budget from our realtor. We looked at one house, and we're like, we don't really like this one. And she turned and looked at me at one time. She's like, well, we can be looking at bigger houses than this. And I was like, yeah, I know, but we good right here. I gave you the budget.
Spending my money. Boy, I tell you, boy, when you got that,
this is what we like. This is what.
No, we can go bigger than this.
Yeah. We know
hilarious.
that. Like, we aware. But this is what we're doing.
you know we could go. You know I can get you some. Yeah, I can get you some way out your beans. I can have you living out. I can have you out here like deadlift shrimp.
Right, I'm trying to retire at 60. What you trying to keep me working till I'm 70, 75 now? What you fam?
Exactly. So I think those are a couple things to be thinking about. But again, it's definitely deeper weeds to dive into.
Mm-hmm.
But then also, man, just find somebody who you can have this conversation with. The other piece, this might be the biggest piece, is transparency. Find somebody that you trust and you can have this conversation with, and you feel like I can just let my guard down, and I can do this in a not feeling any type of shame about whatever my personal situation is.
Man, but see, that's the thing, man. With black, it's like with black people, we don't want nobody to know what our financial status is.
So secretive.
We're really secretive with it.
Which I understand, but you're right. Find that person that you can have that.
Meanwhile, we're in a state of paralysis now. We're in a state of paralysis and just can keep on going the same path that, like my mom's and our, if you weren't privy to that type of upbringing to where people had that type of education and life experience to where they know they should be having life insurance. They should be putting money into their 401k if they have one with their company, or, you know what I mean? They should be owning instead of renting, or like some of these things that we just don't know, depending on circumstances. But ultimately, let that guard down and then have a real honest conversation with some people, and you never know how they can change your life or help you change your life.
Are y'all listening, man? This guy is spitting gems. Eddie is spitting gems, man. Plan. Get somebody you can confide in to have those kind of conversations. Life insurance, like, have the conversation. Start there. I think that's great advice. What's up, Cole?
Man,
I know you got a basketball question.
Yeah, I'm trying to get into the bullshit.
I got one for you.
What type of bullshit did you get into, Eddie, when you was in the league? Man, you got the glitch, you got the glamour, you got the this, you got the that. Like,
yeah, he too clean, man. I know there's some stories in there where you like, yo, this
I ain't get no piece of chain. I ain't buying no Lambos.
I got none of that, bro.
It wasn't no
stand-up guy, man.
It wasn't no coke in the next room.
I know he didn't see some stories.
He be like MJ. No. He be like MJ. Like, yeah, I walked in the room with the coke and the girls, but I said,
I'm like, hey, what are y'all doing?
What y'all doing in here? Let me go back to my room and go to sleep.
I got a question for you. So you played in that 90s, 2000s, right? This new era that I think I would give Steph credit for this kind of wave of like how offense is played now.
You read my mind.
Do you think, what would Eddie look like in the new NBA versus when you played?
Yeah, that's free. I would look free, right? Because oftentimes I played in an era where there was a lot more play calls. There was a big man at all times on the floor that was not getting out of the paint, right? Oftentimes now you see the game, it's 5 guys spread out on the perimeter of the game, on the perimeter of the floor, and there's a lot more space to drive, take people off the bounce. You rebound it, you attack, and you're trying to make something happen ASAP, right? And to your point about Steph Curry, he definitely is a guy who's responsible for the evolution of the game with the way he can shoot it, the shots that he does take. He's a gift and a curse, though. Because he's a gift because we're in awe of what he's able to do. I always say, man, when you see greatness, appreciate it because you're going to miss it when it's gone.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And that's him. He embodies all that. But he's a curse to the youth that don't understand the hours
that he's putting in.
That he put in to be able to do that craziness.
Like hours.
Like, and you don't understand the hours that he's putting in. Like Dame is in that same space.
Absolutely.
Like there's all these guards right now, like John Morant, like these guys. You don't understand the amount of hours and time and the commitment that they put into the game to be able to do that on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So
they're not playing on the Xbox, PS5, none of that. The phone all the time. No, they in there in the gym constantly working on
and it's
their craft.
fanatical. It's not. It's damn near not normal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you can't be normal to shoot like Steph.
Yeah, I'll give you
work ethic wise.
People who don't know about like Buddy Hield plays for the Pacers. I know because I'm covering him all the time. He was in SAC a couple years ago. But literally they practice And then he back in the gym like that evening shooting again by himself. Literally like every day. They got to kick him out the gym.
I bet.
And
it shows though.
Yeah, like everybody knows Steph Curry, but they don't know that he's got the most made threes in the league right now. Like
right.
You don't understand like the amount of hours that goes into that is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And if a 12-year-old kid doesn't have the proper leadership around him to teach him, hey, well no, that guy's put thousands and thousands and thousands of hours into this.
Yeah.
You need to get inside the lane first and just work on some form shooting.
Yeah.
And do that consistently. You need to shoot hundreds of those shots before you get outside the three-point line.
Yeah.
If he don't have somebody in his space telling him that, he's just gonna be working on bad habits.
Man, and that's and you know, I was going to ask you the same question along what Jay was asking. Is that like, is the traditional point guard dead? But the traditional facilitator, floor general, mid-range jump shot, I'm gonna make sure everybody's in the right spot. Is that dead?
I don't know if it's dead, but definitely. And I think part of that was because of the style of play, right? That wasn't designed. It wasn't designed for guys to come down and just live their life the way they're living right now.
Yeah. Because like you said it was a big man on the floor at all times.
It was it, man. You had to get I had to get the ball to Jermaine O'Neal. Like that man had to touch the ball.
Get your ass out of here.
If he on the floor, he needed to touch the ball for good reason.
Yeah.
I'm not hating on that. Like he was one of the best power forwards to ever play the game.
Yeah.
And definitely at that time was probably the best in the game. But on every team, like there was always a big guy who needed to touch it.
That's just how it worked, inside out, right?
That's just how it is. And not to say there wasn't good perimeter players, because there were, but it's just a different style of play. You know what I mean? And the evolution of the game has gone to another level.
That's dope, man. And I really like the comment of when you talked about Steph and him getting to where he's at, right? Because with my son, like every kid, I'm sure they see Steph, Dame, and they're just like, yep, I'm launching it 50 feet out, and I'm going to make it. I'm like, dude, you can't even make it 10 feet in. How are you going to make it out there? And the first thing I tell my son is like, nope, we about to shoot layups. Like, you about to get 100 layups, you know what I mean? Because that's the easiest bucket in basketball. And if you can't make that, then you can't make the stuff out there. So, man, Eddie, we could talk all night about
all night. I got much more.
You got one more? Throw one more at him.
Man, nah, we gonna hold it, man.
We gonna hold it because this man, he gotta get to work, and we appreciate you dropping all the gems you did today, man. This is love. This is Colorado, Aurora at heart. You know what I mean? We claim you. I know you from Jersey. You know,
you claiming Eddie.
This is home.
We ain't got many. We ain't got many.
We gotta get all the ones we can.
Eddie Chauncey.
Yeah,
he ain't going nowhere.
I spent way too much time here not to be able to show love.
Yeah, for sure,
and to claim it as well. So yeah, man, it's been good to me.
In the spirit of Damo, Uncle Damo, who would you recommend to come on this.podcast?
Wow.
It could be anybody. Shoot for the stars, or if you know somebody local, that too.
Man, let me get back to you. You put me on the spot with that one. I'm going to have to give that one some thought.
All right.
Yeah.
Next time you come, like, have one of these Pacers come with you, man.
Yeah.
That'd be dope.
We take the last man on the bench. We don't care.
Yeah, we don't care. We take them all, man. We take anybody from the organization to come with you.
Last man on the bench got game.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's another thing. So real quick, can you talk about that? Because I think that gets lost on people of like at that level, like the worst person on any NBA team will give anybody like 50 in a what do we call it, pro-am game in the gym. Like they just walk in, they're gonna give you the business.
Yeah, that's why I always got a proper respect for anybody that is called a professional in their respective industry.
There you go.
So if that guy is called a professional in his respective industry,
he's a killer
on that level. You need to respect that.
Yeah, he's a killer.
So people are always astonished when like X amount of people get hurt on a team, and then next thing you know, the dude who's like the 11th man, he playing meaningful minutes and he killing. You're like, man, how's this guy been sitting the whole time? It's like, well, only 5 guys can be out there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
What I mean? So it's only 5 that can get out there, and more often than not, the guys who was the 10th and 11th man. He's just going to stay ready, and when he does get an opportunity, if in the right situation and those types of things,
He's going to ball.
they're going to make it happen.
Come and get it.
Bobo, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't getting time here.
Shining.
Shining in Orlando.
Exactly.
Shining.
That's a prime
great
example. That is. Eddie, let's give you a round of applause for coming on the show, brother. We appreciate it.
That's all love. I appreciate y'all having me.
Absolutely.
We do this thing virtually another time if you want while I'm back in Indy.
Oh,
We might
yeah,
do
for
that,
sure.
man. So when
Yes.
Damo, because he take a lot of vacation, man.
Yes,
I think you could fill in for Uncle Damo.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
He living the life. We need
He
to
is,
I need to figure
man.
out what he doing.
Exactly.
He got to get his winter patties tan.
All right. And you never stumble upon the unexpected if you stick to the familiar. So, go out there, work hard,
Find consistency.
put yourself in positions to win.
Seize the moment.
Another quote, and I think this is how you've lived your life, is that, have you ever heard that luck is simply where the preparation meets opportunity?
Opportunity.
That's
Yeah.
it, man.
Yeah.
And we out.
Yeah.